It's been a week since the shot heard round the ballroom was happened last week. Um, so we're gonna talk about the shooting at the Hilton. Stay tuned. But before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell so you get notified when new videos drop and when we go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. This is Tow Talk with Denise and Neil. So, hey Neil. So let's talk about this ballroom. It's so funny. We did a recording the day after this happened, and within hours, more and more and more information started coming out, and it completely messed up everything that we're talking about. So we've been hearing about this for a week. A lot of information has come out, a lot of interesting questions, and we're going to talk about it. So Neil, what is going on? What is your thoughts about this whole shooting that's happened? It wasn't even really a
Just
shooting.
it's just more theater.
It's more theater, right?
It's more theater. I mean, like, it's we are all living our lives, barely scraping by, and these guys are living a TV show. They're creating content and an effort to create a TV show out of the whole thing, and create content for us, as consumers to consume that content and make it seem like we have some sort of say in the discourse when we don't. I mean, there's literally, I hear all the time, like I hear Democrats say we need to elect Democrats because of XYZ, and my thought process immediately turns to Democrats don't want XYZ. They're not campaigning on any of those things, So I don't know. I think it's just creating content. The one thing we do know about the guy now, is that the guy really disliked both Democrats and Republicans. He was neither.
He was right. He
He
was
was he
neither.
was he was his views were apparently more in line with regular Americans, with everyday Americans than any politically right, like motivated whatever. I mean, he hated Democrats and he thought they both sucked. I mean, like that's really what it came down to.
Came down to, but there's been so many. There's been that video shown multiple times of him running through the the I guess that was a metal detectors. When and there's a lot of questions about it, right? More and more information is coming out. There's AI being involved in a lot of it. We don't know what's real or what isn't real. But the latest version that I saw had I think his name is Cole Thomas walking up, having an interaction with a officer or a canine. So he's got the dog. He steps into a room that you can see from the camera. He's got nothing on him, and then he comes out with an AR type rifle, a long rifle that he couldn't have been concealing. You would have seen it, and running through the metal detector. At the same time, there's two metal detectors. One's on the ground. Like, they've got one on the ground, know what's going on there. He runs past. Multiple shots are fired. Nobody hits him. It's very, very, very questionable. I
Again,
don't
is
know.
it real or is it AI? I mean,
It's
like you, you can't comment. You can't. I mean, the whole thing is meant to as a distraction to the American people, right? I mean, we still, you know, not to go backwards a little bit, but we look at the whole Charlie Kirk shooting. Okay, there's been no answers on that. There's been nothing move forward on that. You know, and the more information that comes out, the more suspect the entire case becomes. It's normally with investigations, when the FBI is involved or the federal government is involved, when you get leaked information, you become more and more sure, right? Like there's more of a definitive, like the FBI is giving you, like, details about, "All right, well, this is the information we have, this is the information we can release," and you're pretty solid that that information's gonna be real and true. You know, they come out with information so quickly that it turns out everything they initially report is wrong,
God,
you
yes.
know? And then they're constantly having to backtrack, and then you don't know what's real. And, you go back to the early psychological aspect of it is most people tend to believe the first thing that they hear, and it becomes
That's a good
very
point.
difficult to change people's perceptions or thought patterns or views on things once they've already formed an opinion. So uh, what they're doing now is just complete propaganda.
Right, and which is the reason why when we see these shootings and the same thing with, the shootings in Minneapolis, they immediately had a narrative that had all the answers within 5 minutes of the shooting, right? And so that they could get ahead of, so they could get ahead of the story and get their version out there before the actual truth gets revealed. Right? So, I mean, the story with Alex Preddy is he was running at them with guns blaring, and then the actual video that was captured, he's on the ground on his hands and knees, and one of the ICE agents reaches into the holster where the where his pistol was and removes it before shooting him, what, 10 times, 9, 10 times in the back.
But you still have a lot of those MAGA types, right? And a lot of those, right, because of what was first initially said, still perpetuating that narrative as if that first narrative was the only narrative that they needed to believe, right?
And
Because that's what they were told happened, so now they have to go and repeat that and believe that, and no matter what evidence you provide showing them that that wasn't the case, it doesn't matter. They believe now what they've been told that they have to believe, and that's it.
yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting what happened with this incident, at the Hilton, right? Because within minutes of the shooting, all of a sudden, now we know this and we've heard this, before, that there are a lot of influencers, MAGA influencers, that are, they all get into a chat room and they all organize their messaging ahead of time. And so this was the messaging that came out minutes after the shooting. There it is. Yeah, these are all influencers all saying, "We need a ballroom. We gotta have that ballroom. They stopped the construction of the ballroom. We need a ballroom because a ballroom is going to solve everything." So you can go ahead and take a quick screenshot of that for yourself if you wanna read all these messages later, and there was plenty more that came out.
So Denise and I were talking about this prior to her, and so we're gonna interrupt sort of our talking, and we're gonna play you guys something, right? So that you guys can and because honest to God, it's funny, and it seems to be more in line with reality than anything that is being talked about or posted or shared. So here it is. You know what your tax dollar bought this year? Not a road, not a school. Let me make it clear. Donnie's got a ballroom and you paid the bill. 400 million. Yeah, your money. Still. You work the week you pay. You ask for nothing back. He tears down history and lays a golden track. So stay right here, cause this just gets worse. Welcome to America. We'll start with the verse. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Orange man woke up with a blueprint in his hand. Said, I'll build the finest ballroom in the land. Tore down East Wing. Yeah, FDR would spin. Said private donors pay it, not a dime of your skin. Apple, Meta, Amazon, they all lined up fast. But then the price got doubled. Didn't know how long that math would last. He promised not a penny. Swore it on his name. Then your tax bill showed up and the story changed. We're donating to America. Sure, Donnie. Sounds great. Donating with our money. Appreciate. And then, oh wait, someone fired a shot at the dinner party.
And suddenly Lindsey Graham says, we need more in the name of safety. Let the taxpayers pay for the ballroom. How convenient. Donnie's got a ballroom, golden walls and marble floors. While the gas pump's killing you outside the grocery store. Pete said it's a gift to the world. We won the war. Yeah, gift with your receipt. You paid before. Now meet Pete Hegseth. Good morning, rise and shine. Used to pour the coffee, now he's drawing the front line. Fox and Friends on Monday, war orders Friday noon. From a TV anchor to let's blow up the moon. Through an axe on live TV, hit a man's head. Now he signs the orders of who's alive and dead. Crusader tattoos, yeah, the whole collection. Leaked the battle plan on Signal Family Group, no encryption. 6 hours in the hearing, senators not done. Kill everybody, Pete, that's not a fun one. They asked him, was the war worth it? He said, don't be reckless, sir, you're the secretary. That answer's checklist. Donnie's got a ballroom, golden walls and marble floors. While the gas pump's killing you outside the grocery store. Pete said it's a gift to the world. We won the war. Yeah, gift with your receipt. You paid before. He said the war would wrap in 4 or 5 weeks flat. 60-something days in. How you feeling about that? Yeah, gas is $4.30. Your commute's a crime. Donnie told the oil man, just give it a little time. Meanwhile, on the sidewalk, 7th and Market Street, people frozen standing, fentanyl in the heat, zombie city trending, million views a day. But hey, the ballroom's nearly done, so everything's okay. And Kimmel made a joke. Well, Donnie didn't laugh. FCC showed up, tried to cut him in half. 209 stations with a deadline and a threat because a late night host told a joke he can't forget. Free speech is alive, folks, long as no one speaks. Look, we've been watching from a distance, cup of tea in hand, and we gotta say, we don't quite understand. You built the greatest country, freedom, power, pride, and this is what they did with it while you work inside. You're not the enemy, you never were to us. The leaders make the wars, the people ride the bus. You pay the tax, you build the tank, you send the kids to school, and Donnie's on the dance floor. Guess who played the fool? We didn't write the headlines, they did that themselves. We're just reading them out loud, dusty from the shelf. So America, no hard feelings, we respect the game, but your cabinet's dancing on your dime, and that's a crying shame. So here's where we land, a man who tore down history to build a dance floor, a morning show host who started a war, a government that silences the jokes but never answers the questions, and a country full of people who deserve so much better than a ballroom they never asked for and can't afford to enter. Take care of yourselves, America. Somebody has to.
Wow. You know, it's interesting that Iran seems to have a better handle on what's going on here than we do.
Well, it really comes in, we just passed May Day, right? And what are we celebrating in this country? We're not celebrating workers in this country, that's for sure. Because if we were celebrating workers, we would be doing everything we can to give workers tax breaks and incentives to save and pension plans and all those things. But what are we getting here, right? We can't even get health care here, right? They just said that 20%, there was a 20% drop nationwide in ACH enrollees. 20%.
ACA, yeah.
Yeah, ACA. So, this isn't about workers, right? This isn't about taxpayers. This isn't about us. This is all about them and the billionaire class. That's it. The Epstein class. The Epstein class is running everything into the ground.
Yeah,
and leaving
exactly. You know,
nothing-
it's funny you should bring that up because what's her name? The agricultural secretary, Brooke Rollins. She was this idiot was on state news known as Fox, right? Bragging about how they dropped roughly 4.5 million more people off of SNAP benefits. And when asked, oh well, they were mostly fraud. Like they weren't even all fraud, right? She couldn't even say they were all fraud.
They're
None
not
of them
fraud.
are.
None of them are.
We
None
know
of
that.
them are.
But
This when they talk about fraud, right? They just mean anybody. Okay? They don't actually mean fraud. okay? They're the ones committing the fraud, and they've been doing
Yeah,
it from day one, okay? And we keep allowing
straight
it
up.
because really all, certain people care about are, whether black and brown people are committing fraud. They don't care about the white people committing fraud, right? And let's be honest, the only fraud that ever seems to get arrested is if you are poor or minority, right? Or if you've committed fraud against rich people. That's it. All right. If you're rich and you're committing fraud, if you commit banking fraud, which we knew Wells Fargo did, you don't go to jail. Nothing
So I
happens to
remember
you. You
that.
pay a fine and you walk away.
Amazing. Yeah,
They don't care. These people have set up this two-tiered system, and for a lot of people, it'll feel normal most of the time. But now your costs are going up. Now
dramatically.
everything's going up. Okay, the dollar is dropping. Your purchasing power is becoming less, meaning whatever gains that you had in terms of your income are all now going to crap.
Yeah, they're getting canceled out by the dollar shrinking.
Like, just everybody needs to wake the fuck up and understand that none of these people have your back. None of these people are for workers and employees and those people who actually do the day-to-day job.
And it's interesting that you should bring up May Day. That was May 1st. There were roughly 3,000 protests, demonstrations that occurred across the country, and I know there was a rather large one in D.C. So unfortunately I did not see one happen here. I believe there was one held in Monroe. So if anybody's watching is from Monroe, please definitely drop in the comments. Let us know what happened there and how that went, because I haven't heard much more. But mostly, they were in a lot of cities. They were, but
And it's all suppressed by the news because I haven't seen one of them.
that's what I was
The
getting to. Yeah,
news isn't reporting anything,
no, they're just
you know?
reporting on ballrooms. That's what they're
Right.
reporting.
The reporting on the things that make the billionaires look good, and anything that makes the billionaires look bad, they refuse to even report on, right? These forever wars, they're gonna go on forever, and they're just gonna keep taking more and more money out of your pocket. Again, remember, the billionaires don't want to pay one dime more. In fact, they are still lobbying for more cuts in taxes, right? As we're arguing about a 2% tax on the income, not even like the wealth that's generated, the income. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Most of these billionaires make their money off of like capital gains. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about their long-term earnings or any of that bullshit. We're just talking about their income, right? What they earn from doing their job, just like you do, which they now pay less than us. Okay.
Yes,
Their tax in New York on the top 1% is actually less than what an average New Yorker pays. Okay. And all we're talking about is 2%, and they are crying like little babies. They are
should be more.
snowflakes that they're like, oh no, no, we can't afford to pay 1 cent more. Meanwhile, like we can't even afford to put gas in our car to make it to work so that we can pay our mortgage and our utility bills, which are skyrocketing.
Skyrocketing.
Those fucking gas bills, right? We can't afford anything. These guys are buying yachts and talking about fucking ballrooms, right? And then
That
turning
now
around and saying, we're not paying one dime more. Fuck
And they're
you.
not and they're not paying for the ballroom, right? That was supposed to be the donors were gonna pay for that ballroom, and now Lady Lindsey Graham, just put up a bill or, legislation to have the taxpayer pay for that. Fuck you. Fuck you. You tore that shit down, you pay for it.
Have you noticed a trend, people? Okay? If you've noticed the trend, right? The war, we're paying for it. They're refusing to pay for it, right? They want to do another war with Cuba. Who do they want to pay for it? Us to pay for it. They get rid of all the healthcare subsidies, right? Do they want to pay? No, no, no. We gave them a tax break so that they wouldn't have to pay for just even the tax subsidies for the ACA. Okay,
while
right?
dropping millions more off of, Medicaid.
And then they turn around and say, "Oh, well, those roads, even though those roads take you to the job which I provide for you, right? You have to pay for your roads because even though it gets me more money, I want you to pay for that." Okay? They want you to pay for everything, okay? And them to take all the money. Right? These are the robber barons of the 20s,
Of the
okay?
2020s.
And now they're the robber barons of the 2020s. These are the same group of people. They are just fascists,
That's
okay?
exactly what fascism is.
And I'm sorry, we shouldn't be electing people who are catering to fascists.
Full
Period.
stop.
Full stop. Mamdani has it right. I'm sorry. He has it right. Whether you like him or you don't like him, he has it absolutely right. And it's not socialism. I'm sorry, right? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Is Great Britain socialist? No. Great Britain is a capitalist country, and yet they have universal health care. Okay? Right?
They have a
These
living wage.
countries, right? Israel. We talk about Israel in this country all the time. Is Israel a communist or socialist country? No, I don't think anybody. I think even me just putting them in the same sentence would have me lynched in this country. Okay? They are not. They're a capitalist country. Yet they have universal health care. Why does universal health care, right, make the United States either a socialist or communist country, but not Great Britain or Israel?
Or the Scandinavian countries, or Canada, or, I could go on. Even Mexico, I
Any
think, has it.
well, Mexico just put it in place. And what we talk about universal health care, again, we talk about capital. Okay? You talk about reinvestment in your employees. Instead of your businesses putting that money into healthcare, right? They can be investing that into their companies, into their employees. They can be giving bigger, you can be taking home bigger chunks of your paycheck as a result of that, right? Because now the taxes are going to cover everybody. And don't talk about, oh, well, our taxes are going to go up. Actually, your taxes will go down.
Yeah,
Your
right.
taxes will go down if that happens. Okay. And the
And
money
if
that
you
you take home will increase.
Yeah, and that's if you tax the wealthy class appropriately. They're paying
And the
a
corporations.
Yeah, we keep giving back to them, and the rest of us are paying the bill, right? We don't have a living wage. We don't have SNAP benefits are being taken away, so now, I couldn't believe it. She literally was, like, gloating, Brooke Rollins, gloating, "Oh, we dropped 4.5 million more people." Like, those are kids. Those a lot of those are gonna be children. Y'all claim to be pro-life, but you're okay with starving kids. I don't really get
What
where that
it
comes
you
from.
know it really comes from just flat out racism. That's it. It just comes from flat out racism. I'm going to call it for what it is. It's it's the fact that they don't want black and brown people to get those benefits, so they would rather them not get the benefits, right? So that means that these other people don't get benefits, right? Like, I mean, this is how stupid people are, right? Rather than everybody partaking of the same system and benefiting from the same system, because certain people
That they don't like.
benefit from that system, they would rather it not even be given to them in the first place. Okay? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's people who really just don't give a shit. They have hate in their heart, right? And they exude that hate and they want hate in their policies. And that's what we see all over the place now is this hate in policy making. And I've honestly had enough. I've really had enough of it, you know? I mean, they talk about the SAFE Act, okay? Like we need to have another ID, right? to vote. Voting is your right as an American. End of story, period. In the Constitution, that's what a democracy is. Democracy is voting, right? The fact that you need to register to vote in the first place, right? Is that means that you have to do something in the affirmative, okay, to actually vote. So it's not like automatically registering you for selective service. Okay, so you can serve in the military. They have the ability to do that, but they don't have the ability to register you to vote. Right? So they're saying that because it's the law that you have to register for selective service, we're going to register you. Well, when you turn 18, it's the law that you have the right to vote.
They could, yeah, they could. Nope, they want you to do a separate registration, and they want you to verify that you're a citizen, and they want you to have a passport, certified birth certificate, all this crazy paperwork, like, and they want you to have that paperwork with you each and every time you go to vote.
I can't wait because birth certificates don't have your picture, right? I'm waiting for them to say, well, your birth certificate needs to have a picture on it, right? And they take a picture of you like when you're a baby, right? And then when you're 18, well, this picture doesn't look like you, so this isn't you. Right? Like, I mean, this is like fucking idiocracy, right? Like, I mean,
It
you have to
literally
be
is.
like, you have to honestly take away all critical thinking in this country to even remotely say that the SAVE Act is a good idea or that any of this shit is a good idea. Right? You have to take away all critical thinking and not for nothing, right? It only comes from a place of racism. So really, if you are thinking that this is a good idea, honestly, take a step back and start thinking about why it's a good idea. Ask yourself, why is it good? Make a list of reasons. Ask yourself if those reasons are even valid. There has never been any proven mass voter fraud in this country, ever.
They have been told for a decade now that illegals are voting because that's what they do, right? They march across South and Central America in caravans to get here to our borders. They come into our borders, and the first thing they do is buy a $400,000 home and register to vote without a penny, without a pot to piss in. But that's what they're telling you, and you're sitting here believing that.
Listen, if people really wanted to stop, for, we invited immigrants to this country. Okay, the fact is that the birth rate is low, and we needed workers in this country. Everybody loves everybody talks about Biden and how gas prices were high and this that and the there was full employment, morons. Like, there was full employment. You couldn't, if you were an employer, you couldn't find people to work for you. Do you understand what that means? That means that people had the ability to negotiate higher salaries, which they did, right? And those higher salaries translated it to some people, not all people, some people having to be able to give up. If they were working 3 jobs, maybe they could work 2 jobs. They didn't have to work the 3rd job. Or, if you were working the 2 jobs, maybe all of a sudden you started working 1 job because now all of a sudden, right, we were in a demand market for employees. So we were bringing people from other countries. We brought people in from Haiti, right, to work in the United States because there weren't enough workers here, right? We brought people over from Somalia, right, because there wasn't enough workers here, right? Now that they're getting ahead because they're working, okay, you're upset because you want to feel better than them. Well, then work, okay? Like, that's what fucking bothers me is the fact that is this idea that we didn't invite them here. We invited everybody here. Everybody who came here was invited here by us because we needed workers in this country. And not for nothing, every single one of them paid taxes.
Well, that's the part they don't wanna talk about, and I've looked at this before. Um, uh, Undocumented workers, and we'll talk about that now, these people that he's talking about were documented. They came through legally, they did everything, They came in as either as refugees or temporary protected status. But even the undocumented, if you take the undocumented alone, they account for roughly in 2023, so last year you could find these records on, about $100 billion in tax revenue, and roughly about a third of that is Social Security and Medicare taxes for a system they would not be able to draw from. Why? Because they're not citizens and they don't have Social Security numbers. You need to have a Social Security number in order to receive these items. So even people with TPS or refugee status or even green cards can't collect from that system, but they can pay into it. So we're also losing that revenue. We've lost a lot of that revenue, pretty much all of it
They
at
don't
this point.
receive any benefits. So the question is who's stealing their money, right? It's their tax dollars. They don't get representation because they're not allowed to vote, right? They're paying taxes, but they don't receive any benefits, okay, from those tax dollars. So the question is what are we doing with that tax money? Stealing that tax money?
It ain't us.
Right? Like people really just need to start thinking, right? Why is it that you have companies, businesses, right? Wealthy businesses, a lot of these billionaires that hire these undocumented immigrants, right? But nothing ever happens to them. They hire them. They have to ensure all their documentation is good. They're paying taxes for them. Okay. So why is it not their fault because they didn't verify, right, that information? Okay, they don't go to jail at all. They face no consequences at all, right, when it comes to hiring undocumented immigrants. It's only the undocumented immigrants that face consequences. So you come to this country, right, and you're working for the man, okay, but now all of a sudden you're in trouble because they hired you.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody asks that question. Nobody says, "How about the people
Right.
who hire them?" And you know what? It's still happening, right? Because
Yes.
we've
Well
talked
done.
about this. We've talked about this
Yeah.
because the people that are being detained are being put to work in order to get like $5, like $1 a day, so they can make a phone call at the end of the week for $5. It's like the stories that are coming out is just horrific, and that's a whole separate conversation right there.
And
But
now they're going after children. Now they want to go after children. All right, because that's what we do in this country now. That's who we are. And for those people who think that this is okay, really, I really hope you burn in hell. I really do. Like, listen, I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in heaven, but honest to God, there has to be a special place for these people. Because I hear all the time about children. I hear all the time. Every fucking argument that is made by a politician always says, well, what about children? Always ask the fucking question, what about children? Right? But yet those same politicians don't fight for kids who are in this country who are vulnerable, who either have no parent or their parent has been detained, okay, and provide no support system for them at all. Put them in cages, okay? Some of them have died already.
yeah,
What the
yeah, well,
fuck, people? What the fuck?
yeah. I think when if we ever do get power back, and I'm hoping that we do, we really need to open these places up and really see what's going on. I think from the small dribs and drabs of reports that have come out of these concentration camps, and that's what they are, and that's what I'm going to call them, and that's what I'm going to stick with. Um, I don't think we're hearing just how bad it really is. And
Well, it's a million times worse than we could ever possibly imagine. It's horrific. There are human rights violations everywhere, right? And Americans turn a blind eye to it because of the fact that if it's not as long as it's
it's
not
not them.
impacting them, right? They feel that they're okay, and what they don't realize is that it's coming for them. Whether they like it or not, it's coming. I mean, these fuckers aren't stopping. They want to build the AI centers everywhere. The flock cameras are now everywhere. They're watching every move that you make.
Yeah, that's right. The surveillance state is here, and, in the words of Larry Ellison, "You're gonna be on your best behavior. We're gonna be watching, and you'll be on your best behavior." That's what he said. That's a qu that's I'm paraphrasing, but that's almost an exact quote. You go look it up. And by the way, for those who don't know who Larry Ellison is, he's the one who owns it. Once this Warner Brothers thing, CNN, goes through, he'll own about 40% of all the media in this country.
So he owns Oracle. Oracle, basically, if you have a cloud service or you have basically data centers, he owns like 90% of all data centers in the United States.
All the backbone. He's the backbone
Yeah.
on all of them.
Like government, he has everything. He has all the contracts. This is why he's making money off of your tax dollars. Your tax dollars are funding his billions. And that's what it comes down to. This is the system that has been created, for these oligarchs. We have now our own. And the same thing is happening here that has happened in all these banana republics. They're going to extract all the wealth from this country and leave nothing behind but the debt.
And our debt is up there. It's still holding at, like, 39.95 trillion. Last I checked. We can, you know what?
You can
Let's
own a
see.
piece of the American debt today by donating $115,000, right, via Venmo or PayPal.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week. Yep. Here we go. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, 38,955,000,000,000. It's really just, again, it's just a hair, very little, behind 39 trillion. That's $114,130 for every single person in America. Note it doesn't say every American, every person that's here. So, yeah, think about that. And that's the Peterson debt clock. There's other ones, but it's about the same. It's gonna go up. And as for gas prices, I was watching, Mr. Global. Mr. Global is an oil expert, and he has his own platform under Mr. Global, and he's also involved, in the American Power podcast. I recommend, subscribing to both. Check him out. But he was talking about, what we're seeing now with gas prices. I checked yesterday, I believe it was 4.35. Um, like, that's the low end. It's going up higher. Like,
That's what I
already
paid
June.
today. I
Yeah.
paid about 430 today.
Yeah, and he said it's gonna be getting a lot worse as the summer heats up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
6
that's
months, it'll be signi this isn't coming down anytime soon. It's
no,
not
and
coming down, you know? Just not.
and and he pointed to the fact that we're not producing oil. Like, we're not drilling like we were. Our peak, we peaked back in September before all this started. And so, we're not producing the oil to replace the oil that we're not getting because of an oil crisis, and we're selling what we have outside the country. We're exporting it because they're getting top dollar, because the corporations are getting top dollar for it, which means we may not only see higher prices at the pump, but we may also see, like, gas rationing, odd even days, odd even plate names, whatever, you know?
Oh, and it was announced that, Trump is going to replenish the SPR using Venezuelan oil. So, let me just tell everybody what that actually means, right? Because this really pisses me off. The SPR cannot accept Venezuelan oil, right? It's too high in sulfur, okay? So, because what we use is natural underground caverns and to house our SBR oil, right? So what's going to end up happening is in order to be able to buy the Venezuelan oil and put it into the SBR, right? We're actually going to have to rent tankers, right? So we're going to be not only paying for the oil, right? We're going to be paying billionaires for the tankers to house that oil in. Okay?
This is such a cash grab.
I'm really so frustrated with the lack of knowledge of people, right? And the fact that they think they know. They're like, rah, rah. And what rah, rah means is more of your tax dollars going out the door to billionaires because of stupid management decision.
Unbelievable. Folks, what do you think about that? So, anyway, this has been episode that covered a lot of different shit going on between
Yes.
the ballroom to crazy gas prices and Iranian Lego videos that kind of tie it all together with just real accuracy. It's sad how
Yes.
they got our number better than we do. So folks, let us know what you think. Things are going to get rough, but we got to be here to support each other. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Click that bell so you get notified when new videos drop and when we go live on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. We will see you there. All right. Take care, guys. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Peace out.